Well, we've enjoyed rail in many places. I mean, in New York, we take subways all the time. When we're traveling in Europe, we take trains. We take trains within cities as well as trains between cities. I mean, within uh, the city of Grenoble in southern France, we just really enjoyed their electric trains that were replacing an older system of streetcars that was there.
That was their perk when they hosted the Winter Olympics. And that was what they got out of it. It's a wonderful system. It runs on existing streets, but they don't have as many cars as we do. So even though the streets are old European narrow streets,
Also, the city is more compact in the sense that it's not strung out along a shoreline like our city is. You didn't have the situation with long streets going up into valleys, you know, a lot of complex mountain sides and so on that we have to deal with here. So it clearly was a much easier kind of place to put in rail. So I have mixed feelings about rail. I think we should take care of all the different ways in which people travel and give people a lot more options by thinking about how to make it easier for pedestrians, first of all, and then for bicycles. I mean, even three-wheel tricycles for people that, you know, not only for children but for older people as well. Things like motor scooters. I don't think we think enough about a variety of ways of moving people around. You know, children growing up invent ways, and they love it when there's options like roller skating. And I used to roller skate to school when I was growing up in Santa Rosa, and now we have skateboards and all kinds of other things, and it makes a complex transportation environment. But I think if we could set aside space for some of these things, I think, you know, on the side of the road with decent sidewalks and so on, we could, and bikeways and bike trails, I think we'd go a long way to alleviating at least some of the transportation issues. People now have the mindset that they have to get into the car capsule in order to go anywhere, or take the bus, and between those two choices, a lot of people just automatically choose a car because it's so much more convenient. But I think if we took care of some of these other options, it would really open up.
we used to step over the railroad tracks when we went out to Nanakuli to swim when we lived up in the mountains of Palihua. And we were very aware of that railway line easement. And I don't know how far it goes now, but I know you can take the little tourist train from the depot in Eva out to Ko'olina, I think. But it used to go all the way around the island, and some of those tracks are still there. It's a linear city. I just last year rode the MAX from the airport into Portland's equivalent of Ala Moana Center and loved it. Was fairly well used, and I rode BART from the airport to Embarcadero, at which point I pulled my little tiny suitcase across the highway and got on a ferry and rode it to Larkspur. And it didn't save a whole lot of time, all in all, so that going back I took a bus. I'm a huge fan of public transportation in theory. I'm not a huge fan of the bus system as it presently runs in Honolulu from my house. It took me 2 hours to get home from work at the State Library one day. And I don't have 2 hours to get home. It's a 14-minute drive. And so what I began to do was to go park down behind Star Market where there's free parking and take a cross-town bus, since I was not provided with a parking stall downtown. And that worked very well. I would like to see it go out at least as far as Eva and Kapolei and to the airport, possibly with a spur to Salt Lake, and then to Ala Moana and Waikiki, with a spur or a very good connection to the university. And unless it goes all those places, I think ridership may suffer. But it has taken these other systems that I rode last year a while to get to the airport. I think initially BART did not go to the airport in the Bay Area. And now, boy, is it crowded. And the MAX in Portland, I think, is still building up ridership. The Boston area, MTA, is another one that I have ridden, but that's a much more complicated system. But I certainly wouldn't want to see it go overhead. We have enough disruptions of the viewplane.